Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah.
Hey everyone, before we begin this week's episode of the Matthew and Rizzle Show, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out POAP.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF Beauty. That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter and POB.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Okay, CarolinaDuhh, aka the POAP Master of the Metaverse. Welcome to the Matthew Rizzle Show.
Hello, hello. Hi, Matthew. Hi, Rizzle. How are you guys doing? Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming.
Doing pretty well. Rizzle's back from vacation. Glad to have the shitposting back in my life personally. And really excited to get to chat with you, Carolina. Dive into your past, dive into your prolific POAPing, mastering, all that good stuff. But to get started, would love to hear a little bit about your backgrounds, especially what you were doing before you found like Web3, crypto, NFTs, all that good stuff. So yeah, whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right. So my name is Carolina or Carolina, either or. A lot of people ask me which is it, and I honestly don't mind either. I am a single mom. I have a 5-year-old daughter. Her name is Selena. Before I entered the space, I was a stay-at-home mom living in Utah. I lived there for about 3 years, and then eventually I moved back to California the end of last year. I was introduced into the space by Sandy Meows, and as most of y'all know, she is my sister. And if you didn't know, well, now you know. Yeah, Sandy taught me everything. And I just want to shout her out real quick and say, thank you so much, sister. You're amazing. I love you. So yeah, I joined Token Smart a little over a year ago and started going to all the events. And eventually I became a moderator as well as a POAP master. That's basically my little background.
I love that that's like an official term. As well it should be. We can talk about the rough numbers we were crunching before we were recording a little bit later. But you are well deserving of your own podcast, but it is sort of impossible to talk about your history in the space without mentioning Sandy. And it's a story worth telling because it was crazy the way it happened, because a lot of people, up until NFT NYC, a lot of people still did not know that you were sisters. And you sort of came up in Token Smart, like out of nowhere. Like, you know, the Discord was sort of ramping up and like a lot of people were joining. And I remember saying, and Sandy didn't say anything about your connection in the beginning either. And she was probably laughing. You guys were probably both laughing at me. I remember saying to Matt as well, I'm like, dude, there's like another like Sandy in the community, like get her, like we need to get her in here and give her a job or something. And I told Sandy the same thing about you at some point or another. I'm like, oh my God, it's CarolinaDuhh. Like she gets it, like she's in here, like doing all the things. We've got to get her pulled into the community. And then like come to find out, like y'all are sisters this whole time. But both of you have that like that thing, that like vibe that people just are drawn to. And it's so awesome the way that sort of like even though y'all were like sort of working together behind the scenes, the way like you sort of fell into the community was genuinely not because Sandy was your sister, even though like maybe she introduced you to it, but because people genuinely like appreciated you and what you brought to the table, like completely independent of her as well. So yes, obviously huge shout out Sandy. We all love her, but you're doing your own thing out here. And probably most known for the POAPs, aside from being like pretty deeply entrenched in the community, but Matt and you were crunching some numbers beforehand and came to like roughly possibly 200,000 like individual POAPs, NFTs that have been distributed like basically by you, which has got to be some sort of like record out there. I mean, we're not talking like random generated mints or anything. We're talking about like designed and distributed by you. So talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about like your POAP journey. We had a couple like starter POAP masters that weren't like, or POAP master apprentices, and then you came in and it was like a wrap after that. We're like, now we have the master and there's no turning back. So can you talk a little bit about like that whole aspect of your journey in NFTs here?
Yeah, of course. So first, when I first joined, I learned about the POAPs, and like it was so funny because like it's so fun collecting. I remember having to scroll up in the chat to find like Dragonate's image of like the POAP stand and the guy with the face of his dragon logo giving out POAPs and like saying like code, and like well, now we can't do that because if we give out the code, like POAP forming and like all that, so the codes will run out like really quickly. I really like that how Dragonate put the image. So shout out Dragonate. So ever since then, I fell in love with like the POAPs. Like, oh, this is pretty neat. Like it's a collectible a memory for like each event, and yeah.
Do you remember what the first one, like, do you remember the first POAP you ever created?
The first POAP I ever created was actually like, it was like a test POAP. And only 12 people have this one. So it's like a rare one. And it's pretty cool. It's like my Avastar logo.
Buy this one? No, I'm about to pull up my POAPs.
No, the Avastar, it's just my PFP, my Avastar's Queen PFP. But like I edit it differently. I don't know. I'll drop it in the chat so you all could see. But that was my first POAP ever made. And this was back in, I believe, March of 2021. And then I was actually looking back on my collection last night just to check. And I saw that the first POAP I collected was actually from the Matthew Rizzle show.
Yes.
And what? And so I checked and I'm like, wait, who was the guest on this show? And you guys would not believe it. Like, do you guys want to take a guess?
I have no idea, but I can't wait to hear it. And that's so awesome that we're your first POAP.
From POAP?
Yes, it was Patricia.
No way.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Dude, I did not know the answer to that.
No, me neither.
But I intuited that shit.
Dude, I was tripping out. Like, no way.
That's
what?
Crazy. Wow,
yeah.
This is like some metaverse POAP, like Inception, like type of thing going on here.
Yeah, I'm a POAP master on the Matthew Rizzle show. How crazy is that?
Incredible.
That is insane.
The metaverse works in mysterious ways. I swear to God. Like from like having like another Sandy that turns out to be like a blood relative, like sister, to like that POAP connection. I love it. I love that sort of history, that trivia. Sticking on the POAP vein, since no one else is as close to that project as you, and no one, as far as I know, has created and released and distributed that many POAPs, let alone like NFTs. I'm just curious, like, what's your take on the POAP project? Like, how do you see POAPs by themselves in isolation? How do you think about them on like a long-term trajectory, and like what use cases are you most excited for in terms of projects adopting POAPs and distributing them to their community? Curious about that.
Yeah, so I think POAPs are really awesome, and like you can use POAPs anywhere, for real life events, for virtual events, and like this past in New York. Remember how I did like the I met ItsCarolinaDuhh POAP,
Yep.
and I distributed to you guys when I met you guys. So good to meet you, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, it was amazing.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
So I think POAPs are here to stay for a long time. They're a great asset, a great way to look back. Like I just looked back yesterday to see what my first POAP collected was, and it was that. And like it's just so exciting to look back at the events you've been to, what you've done, and yeah, I don't know. Like I love their whole process. Their whole everything is so easy and straightforward. Like anyone can make a POAP and like upload it to their website, distribute it. Like it's pretty awesome.
Yo, so I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Actually, this whole like POAP thing is actually really coming full circle, and has been like top of mind with me as well, because I've been seeing some posts, and I've been actually getting some bids on some like very old POAPs that I have, like the Basilius opening, and I got like early on a couple of early ones from a lot of money. And I'm starting to get bids on them. And I saw a couple posts about people talking about like, you know, maybe we're starting to see some like, you know, financial recognition of like, you know, some of these early POAPs and events. And, you know, you got to think like, you know, on the one hand, they're basically like our version of like concert ticket stubs, right? Like, you know, there's a billion of them out there for like a billion different things. But, you know, at the end of the day, some of these ticket stubs end up being pretty valuable. And I never really thought about POAPs like that, which is kind of cool because, you know, they were always sort of in my head, like what you described them as, like just sort of like mementos, right? Like they're free, you get them for free. There's zero market for them, but they're cool. And it's fun to, genuinely fun to scroll through them periodically and, you know, sort of reminisce about like good times and like fun things that you were at and cool stuff that you know, you've done within the space and everything. So well, I'm just interested to hear your thoughts. Like, do you see like some of these, like, you know, becoming like very valuable down the line? And if so, like, you know, are there certain, like, for example, as soon as you mentioned, you're like, there's like 12 CarolinaDuhh test POAPs out there, and those are the first ones you've ever minted. I'm like, dude, I want that. Like, I want that. You've distributed like 200,000 of these. Like, I want that. So yeah, what's your take on like valuation of these things moving forward? I mean, I feel like for in some ways it's got to go up for some of them, even though that's never really been the main focal point of them.
Yeah, definitely. Like POAP, I see like a lot of POAPs that are for sale and like people buy them. But I don't never see anyone buy it for like so much money, you know? But there's a market for them. And like, that's why people are so crazy for POAPs. They're free and like, they want to collect them all, you know?
What ones do you see selling the most? I'm like a little bit out of the loop on the POAP market. I didn't actually realize there was a whole lot of a secondary market until I started getting some bids. And then I'm like, all right, well, maybe there is.
Yeah, well, they have a bunch of different like websites where they sell them on. This was new to me too. Like I didn't even know like people were selling and buying. But yeah, there's a market for POAPs.
Would love to let people know because I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. I'm like, I got
for my selfish purposes. Please find that. I want to see like what the market is.
Have you tried anything like POAP like are they, I get the sense that they sort of have first mover advantage in a lot of respects in terms of like name recognition, like ease of distribution. Is there anything else out there that you've tried or is like that in any way?
No, I actually haven't.
Yeah,
like
I don't see anything.
Yeah, no, I haven't, but I will tell you that sometimes at like even during a show that's going on, I don't even have the POAP for it yet, and I'm like working on it during the show, and I submit it up, and I just pray I get the links in time. And they've been pretty good. I've been really lucky. Like they've been pretty good at approving my POAP. So, maybe that's one thing. Like, oh, it's CarolinaDuhh. Yeah, let me approve it real quick. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, your account better have a flag on it, like for fast track approval, honestly. And I mean, that's interesting. I've never asked you about that process for how you put the POAPs together, but like for WIP POAPs, they always strike me as like so reflective of that week's episode in the show. And well, no wonder, because you're actually making them like in the thick of things. Like that's actually really dope to hear that process.
Oh, nice. Yeah, sometimes I'm like stressing out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not gonna finish this. But it always ends up working out.
I see you adapting on the fly. I feel like there's some weeks where it's like, we're supposed to distribute it this way, but then we tried this way, and that didn't work either. So we're going to get it to you this way.
Yeah, dude, I love how the DGen bot distributes, because it tracks all the listeners. And at the end, we'll use the command. Well, at the beginning, you use the command to start the bot. And then at the end, you obviously end it. And then like you stop it, and then you distribute, and then like you put all the links, and it automatically distributes to everyone who is listening. And that is so awesome. Like,
that is awesome.
So yeah.
Do you have any like POAP nightmare stories, or like things like completely went wrong?
Yeah, well, before, like with the POAP code, like all the POAP farmers would like use it up. I know they have like a Telegram or something where they like, oh, this is the code for this. Hurry up, like claim it, or they're all gone. And like that's how like all the POAPs get claimed so quickly. And like even people who are in the event like don't get a chance to get it, and that sucks. You know, so that's why I like DGen bots, because it tracks like whoever's listening, and whoever's listening will get the POAP, you know. But other than that, like that's my favorite distribution, DGen. Let's see, other POAP nightmares.
You're doing something right if you have to like fend off the POAP bot farmers, or like.
I know, right? Yeah, people POAPs. My daughter sees.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh no, my daughter always, because I do the POAPs from my phone, and so my daughter always sees me, right? And she's like, oh, she gets curious. She's like, oh, what are you doing? And so I explained to her like what a POAP is and all that. And so one day she got curious. She was like, oh, I want to make one. And like, so I just gave her my phone, and she started like doodling. And ever since then, like she's been saying, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a POAP master like you. And I was like, oh my God. If she says that in school, no one is going to know what that is.
Oh my God. That's the sweetest thing. I mean, yeah. On that point, like, has she experimented with POAPs like in school, like for events and things like that? Has she sort of like started to champion that, or not yet? Because that's like a whole nother level of evolution for,
I know,
for
right?
POAPs and everything.
No, she's actually gonna start kindergarten next month. So yeah, so she's not quite in school yet. But yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. But I did like she made about 10. I uploaded 10 pieces that she made up on OpenSea like a year ago. And she ended up naming each one herself. And she did all the art herself. And yeah, they're up on OpenSea. Her collection is called Flowerlina.
Amazing. Dude, it's so crazy. You know, I have my daughter's actually 6, so like right around your daughter's age. She just finished kindergarten, and it is crazy to expose them to all this and see them get it and like, you know, understand it. And you know, it's almost like an easier bridge explaining it to this kind of stuff to a kid than it is like to an adult in a lot of ways. So it's cool. It's cool that she's involved in everything. Sandy's involved. Are you like the family weirdos, or are there like more of you that we are all friends with that we just don't know? So like, Oh, by the way, Dragonate's our cousin, and shows our uncle.
Dragonate's my brother. No, I'm just kidding.
I have no siblings.
Yo.
Oh no. I was actually a little upset because I was living in Utah, like I know my family's in California, right? And Sandy, she hosted like a meeting in the kitchen with everyone, like helping them set up their MetaMask and like all this. Yeah. And I wasn't there. And I was like mad. I'm like, what? I missed this. And then so she took a flight to visit me. And that was my first like intro to like MetaMask and like all that. She like taught me everything. And then that day she also was telling me about avatars, and like we were scrolling and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And so that weekend that she went over, like I bought my first avatar, and that's the queen one.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was perfect. I chose her because, well, obviously I like princesses and queens. And like back then I had my hair like sort of that color. And she also has a septum ring, and I have a septum ring. So like we have that in common. And also the way her mouth is slightly open. In my head, I think like she's saying, duh. Yeah, that was
yes.
Ever.
Yeah, I mean, what is the inspiration behind ItsCarolinaDuhh? Was that from Avastar, like your Avastar, or have you had that sort of like nickname, moniker? Like, yeah, what's the origin story behind the infamous CarolinaDuhh name?
I've had it for a long time, actually, like since like high school days. I had my Instagram. It's always been ItsCarolinaDuhh with 2 H's. And then on Twitter, I had recently, well, not recently, but like a few years ago, the one I have with the ItsCarolinaDuhh with 2 H's was taken. I was like, oh no. So I had to put like an underscore. And so that's my Twitter. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I came up with it because like, oh, what's your username? I'm like, oh, it's Carolina, Yeah.
Instantly, you remember, instantly drawn to your screen name. I'm like, oh my God, this is like the greatest screen name.
It's the best.
Yeah, I remember like back in like, oh my God, I love your screen name. I'm like, oh, thanks.
So you're, I feel like everyone's journey like into this space and to where they are now is like so fascinating. Like the way, Sandy sort of like onboarded you, and then like you became POAP Master. But you're like also like out here now, like, coming to NFT NYC and hanging out with us. And, saw you were at the MetaJax festival, Crypto Jazz Festival, like last week, or maybe you're still there or something. So how has it been like going from, kicking out POAPs on your phone to like, coming to some of these like in real life events? I mean, it seems like things are only ramping up for you.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like I've been loving the experience to travel. Like New York, I never been to New York, and that was my first time going to New York. Even though it was like a couple days, like it was awesome because I met all of you guys, and like Show took us to like the rooftop
that was so great
bar, and like the view was just phenomenal. Yeah, it was amazing. And then this past weekend Sandy and I went to the MetaJax Crypto Jazz Festival, and that was great too. Like the performances were amazing. I only went one day though. Sandy stayed. She just got back yesterday, but it's amazing. Like Tim is awesome. If you ever get a chance, visit Campus Jax because it's amazing. The food is great. The music is even greater. Like everything's just amazing. And
did you
it's great
for fun? Were you there like on a certain mission, or did you just go to hang out and listen to jazz and stuff?
Both. So we were live streaming it from
Oh, nice.
to Token Smart. So the whole weekend we live streamed it, and like we had it into Token Smart, so like people could see. Yeah. But yeah, for fun too. To me, I met Felons. I haven't met him before. Kane was there, Easy, obviously Sandy. And what else? Let me see. Yeah, but it's been awesome. I love like putting a face to the name because, you know, like being on Discord and like on Twitter, like, you know, their profile pic and their name, but like you don't know what they look like or anything like that. So even going to New York and meeting you guys, like, I'm like, oh, wow, like, cool. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. That connection between like the avatar, the online presence, and then having that IRL connection, it just, I like to think about the IRL connections as like watering a plant, right? Like the real sustenance, like everything of our relationships are formed in like this digital space, but the IRL meetings just like make those bonds so much stronger. It's always interesting, and then especially the first time meetings are always unforgettable. But sort of on that thread, thinking about like identity in like this digital space and like the anonymity layer, because I mean, even though we were like, yeah, we got another Sandy, for it seemed like forever, I had no idea. And no one, like Rizzle was saying before, no one really had no idea about the connection between you and Sandy. So you were able to develop and grow and like get cred independently, like as ItsCarolinaDuhh, right? I'm just wondering like how you thought about the value of like digital anonymity, like for yourself and then like for others in this space. I don't know if that goes anywhere, but just curious if you thought about that.
I actually haven't yet. But I do see myself like doing something, creating something, having my own thing, you know, not just POAPs, you know, because POAPs are POAPs. I want my own. I want to create my own art, my own thing. What that is, I don't know yet, but eventually something will come up, you know? Yeah.
Yes, something should. Audience who is listening to this, hit her up with ideas. I think I might have said something to you like a while ago too. Like when is Carolina Duhh NFT project coming out or whatever? I don't know what that is either, but I feel like the POAP Master, when it comes time to release the project, whatever that project is, I can't imagine that you won't have like, you know, so much support from like the entire community that you've been like, hooking up with like dope NFTs for, you know, like you're saying, like well over a year now or whatever. So I hope that day comes. Like I would love, and I think everyone would love to support like whatever you end up cooking up. Whether that's like, you know, something community driven, maybe something with your daughter or like whatever it is,
yeah.
You know, fill us in or help us help you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. We'll definitely fill you guys in for sure.
Are there, I know you're like heads down in Token Smart for the most part. But always interested to hear like what other projects people are interested in or like paying attention to that, you know, don't necessarily have anything to do with theirs. And maybe the answer is you don't have time to look at anything besides Token Smart stuff. But even like other like NFT projects or, you know, stuff that you're not like directly involved in, like what else is going on in the NFT world that is interesting to you?
Well, I really like the music NFTs. Like I've been collecting a lot of K Mayfield stuff, Louis C. Rhymes. I just collected the Connie Digital. Yeah, but I love like the music NFTs and I support them. Like I like to support like our community basically. If they're coming up with the new projects, like I'm there supporting, you know. I have some NFT books from PageDAO. I was working with them for a little bit. What else? On chains, obviously, duh.
Obviously, duh.
Yeah, I got a couple of fly frogs too. What else? I would have to look at my OpenSea collection.
This was not meant to be like the wallet shakedown, although this is like a self wallet shakedown, like which I appreciated. This is like, you know, the preemptive, like emptying your pockets before you even got a chance to empty your pockets. You know, I was actually like more interested in like a project level, like people, and don't get me wrong, I would love to see what's in your pockets. But more on like a project level, if there's like anything like, you know, you mentioned like early on, you were interested in like Avastars, you know, anyone doing like anything really specifically like interesting or intriguing, or like even like community driven stuff. And if not, proceed to empty your pockets, please.
I really do like what Cyber Brokers is doing. I think they're awesome. I wish I would have gone to their thing in New York.
Yeah, it was fun.
It looked really fun. Avastars, obviously, since that was like my first PFP. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I haven't had the time to been looking at different projects now.
Yeah.
So I have no idea right now.
What about Cyber Brokers really speaks to you? I feel like that's a project that continues to gain momentum, and like they're doing community really interestingly, focusing and doubling down on like the lore and like the quests and like riddles and shit like that. It's very cool to see, but curious, like what sort of itch does it scratch for you?
Well, yeah, it's very like I love how it's like community driven, like how it just keeps you coming back, like with the quests and stuff, what you can do with your cyber broker. I like the art too, like they look pretty badass.
Yeah, they really do. That's really cool. Sort of like pulling on the thread of wanting to planning on doing more, just not sure what that more actually is right now. It seems like you're always active, like your hand is in many pots at once, always open to new cool projects to kind of help out there. So like if there's a new project or someone out there is planning on creating a new project and they're like, I need someone, I need a CarolinaDuhh probably, like what sort of things would you be interested working on in the space? Now, like if someone were to reach out and they pitch you, like what would you want them to pitch you on?
That's a really good question. That's something I would need to think about because I honestly haven't thought about it. So I don't have an answer for that right now.
This is like the struggle in like Web3 is like where once you are the POAP master, like where does the master go once they're like at the top of the mountain already, right? Like it's gotta sort of pave your own way in Web3. You know, Carolina, it's been awesome talking with you. Want to make sure like everyone knows where to find you. I know you mentioned you got the same Instagram handle without the underscore, but anything that anyone should know about where to find you or what you got going on, can you hit them with those details?
Yeah, of course. So my Twitter is ItsCarolinaDuhh. So with the underscore, ItsCarolinaDuh _ and yeah, I'm basically Twitter, Instagram. Instagram is more of my personal Instagram, so you'll see like my life there. Twitter is more of like my metaverse stuff. But yeah, that's it.
Love that. And then as always at the WIP, dishing out those WIP POAPs and all the other token smart community related POAPs.
Yeah,
there for sure. Carolina, It's been an absolute pleasure chopping it up with you, getting to know especially more of your past even. It's really cool to peel those layers back and see like where someone has come from and how that's reflected in who they are today and the metaverse avatar that you know so well. So that's so cool. So I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to chop it up with Rizzle and myself and keep on sending out those good vibes into the metaverse.
Yeah, it's always my pleasure. Thank you both for having me here. I do want to shout out like all the Token Smart event hosts, Spherical Art, BB Studios, Easy, Mighty 33, My World, Bully Meow, Foxy Yoga, Matthew Rizzle, the WIP, the whole WIP crew, Cypher Fam, MetaJax, Paged Out, Electric Method, K Mayfields. And shout out to the Token Smart team, Sandy Meows, Dragon 8 Easy, the Mod Squad. You are all awesome. And I love you guys. And thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Rizzle. And thank you all for listening.
Blam. Wow.
Boom.
Crushed it. Yo, thank you for real for all that you've done for us and the community. It's invaluable and priceless.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this week's episode. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out POB.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF Beauty. That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter and POB.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you and see you in the next episode.